Battlebots footage used in this video is property of the Discovery Channel and owned entirely by the copyright holders. Madman24 makes no claims of ownership and simply uses the footage for purposes of education, criticism, and commentary under fair use. Please support the Discovery Channel and the robot combat community by watching Battlebots on home media and streaming services where available.
It's that time of year again. Battlebots Season 5 has just wrapped up and it's time to count down the top 10 breakout stars. If a new champion of Battlebots and lots of entertaining fights wasn't good enough, a whole new line of breakout stars came in and shattered all expectations. Like before, I'm looking at teams that either showed up for their rookie season and slayed, or returning teams that proved themselves. Since this is the second time I'm doing this list, I am not going to have any repeating bots from last year's lists. Honorable mentions will be allowed and possibly included in this list, but you won't see any Mammoths, Hydras, or Black Dragons. All three proved themselves last season and even lived up to the hype this season, so technically they didn't break out. This list, all new bots, all new honorable mentions, same countdown format. Without further ado, it's robot listing time. Our first stop on our breakout stars list is number 10, Ribot. This team made my honorable mentions list last year, but only because I said they weren't interesting or entertaining. Not gonna lie though, their qualifying matches this year were rather quick and kind of forgettable. But I'm not saying Ribot doesn't deserve to be here, I just said the same thing last year. If your wins aren't good, you won't be remembered. A way too fast knockout over Tracer, who couldn't self-right. A bout with Mad Catter where they got the snot kicked out of him. And a triumphant takeoff against Axolotl. Not gonna lie though, this moment's kinda cool.
That's a mean
After literally yeeting themselves over Axolotl, the tournament awaited them. After being seeded 20th, Ribot upset the 13th seed Beta. However, the real bracket buster is when Uppercut, the 4th seed, was rendered immobile after a Fuzro Da from Ribot. The final fight Ribot had in the 2020 season was a very heated battle against Black Dragon. Pun intended, because Black Dragon was on fire for half the match. What I'm trying to say is Ribot has definitely improved since last season. Well, enough to make it out of the honorable mentions list. They made it to the tournament and made a deep run before getting the boot. A round of applause for the kids from WPI and their pet frog. The robot making the 9th position on this breakout stars list is Malice. If you want a rookie team that is as passionate about robot fighting as they are strong, I don't think any other team stands a chance. I started following Malice on Instagram even before they showed up at Battlebots, so I did end up having a little bit of prejudice. Malice showed up to Battlebots with a revolutionary new weapon, a horizontal drum spinner. Think of a sideways minotaur. Team captain Bunny Sorial, a former member of Team Shatter, led her team to 4 amazing wins over the course of the regular season and the Bounty Hunter tournament, even placing as the 16th seed. Their dominations included an explosive win over Axe Backwards, a controversial decision with Shatter, a frame-splitting victory against Tracer, and an expert-level driving battle against Huge. Losses like Gigabyte, Mad Catter, and Sub-Zero were the only teams that set them back during the season. Malice was one of few rookies this season to break out and truly make a name for themselves. I really do like them, and I hope to see them again in Season 6. Malice can be described in 3 words. Confident, strong, resilient, pure malice. Stop. Hammer time. It's number 8, Shatter. At this point in time, Shatter is the best hammer bot in Battlebots. Also, it has one of the weirdest drive systems ever. The Omni-Wheel system the team uses is the perfect type for the bot Shatter is. The Omni-Wheels can move in all directions. No matter where they move, they'll always stay squared up to their opponent. Genius! Shatter did compete in the previous season, but their run last year was about as average as it could have been. This year, they were going for the jugular on the way to the giant nut. Shatter took no prisoners when fighting Ghost Raptor, Shredderator, Lockjaw, and Mammoth. Malice and Endgame may have marked up their record, but Shatter just plowed through the competition, making the tournament as the 19th seed and dominating until their elimination in the top 8. All I'm trying to say is Shatter is here to stay. Team Bots FC, you done good. Coming in at lucky number 7, we've hit the jackpot. Forget spending 30 grand on a bot when you could just build one yourself for about 4 grand. Word got around that Jackpot might be dangerous after what they did to the test box, but once they stepped in the arena, jackpot! This bot earned 3 consecutive knockouts in the qualifying round. Sub-Zero, Ghost Raptor, Lockjaw, all of them forgot that when you face Jackpot, the dealer always wins. Well, not always. Rotator took them out in the first round of the top 32, and even Deadlift got onto the let's take out Jackpot hype train. But all in all, Jackpot came out and slaughtered anyone in its path and came out as a celebrated name. Spin to win for the Sin City Slasher. Viva Las Vegas! Ha ha ha! Slithering into the 6th position, it's the sneaky snake bot Copperhead. Whew, that was a lot of S's. As an obvious point, Season 5 of Battlebots was filmed during the pandemic, and due to this, some international teams couldn't make it. Keyword some. So, one of the teams that couldn't make it was fan-favorite Brazilian team Minotaur. And the main heavy-hitting drum spinner title had to be given to some Colorado knockoff. Sounds bad, right? Wrong! Copperhead was a beast, and they were the subject of some of the season's biggest moments. The beheading of Gigabyte. The two-shotting of P1. The yeeting of Black Dragon. The revenge of Kronos. And the absolutely beautiful massacre of Rusty. Sadly, Gigabyte got back at Copperhead for destroying them the first time, so Gigabyte destroyed Copperhead, and I will fight till the day I die that Copperhead was snubbed against Mammoth. Nothing against Mammoth, but if it weren't for Mammoth, Copperhead would still be in the tournament. I think because of this fight alone, I'm going to start a new video series where I debunk really controversial BattleBots fights and just give my opinion on who should have won. Respect where respect is due. Mammoth was on my Breakout Stars list last year, and he did break out again this year, but again, this is not about Mammoth, this is about Copperhead. Anyway, I guess for one of the few times in history, the spin-off was actually really good. Probably just as good as the original. When Season 6 comes around, I really hope we get a Minotaur versus Copperhead fight. That I'm betting on. Number 5 is an honorable mention that I'm proud to have on this Breakout Stars list. It's Bloodsport. Talk about one of the most improved. Bloodsport was on my honorable mentions list last year, and now they're on the actual list. This year, Bloodsport wasn't taking any chances. They had a whole horde of new blades, and let's just say that some worked better than others. Reference to the Tri-Bar. Other than that, their record was pretty stacked. Kronos, Gruff, Aegis, Hijinks, Scorpios, and even season champion Endgame. The only people that beat them were Tantrum in the round of 16 and Lockjaw in the final round of the Beta Bounty Hunter tournament. But losses aside, this team came from saying, we don't know what we're doing, to our biggest problem is which weapon we're going to use. Please, heaven almighty, let Bloodsport return for Season 6. Everybody start praying. The number 4 spot goes to the ferocious feline Mad Catter. You could have asked me about this robot last season and I would have told you that they're a lame and forceless hunk of metal that got split in half. Twice. If you ask me today, what did they do in the off-season? Word on the street is that they went to King of Bots and This Is Fighting Robots in China and kicked some bot there. Mad Catter went undefeated in the qualifying rounds, taking out Fusion, Ribot, and Malice, only losing to Tombstone in the top 32. But they came back strong in the Bounty Hunter tournament, ripping apart Adam 94 and demolishing Balespear. Sadly, a black cat crossed their path and Rotator took them out in the final round of the Bounty Hunter tournament. Like I said, I don't know what they did in the off-season, but Mad Catter got their act together, and they got it together strongly. I don't know what their plans are for next season, but after seeing their performance this season, I'm anxiously awaiting their return to BattleBots. This is now the 3rd honorable mention to make this year's top 10 list. It's the number 3 pick, Uppercut. Here is yet another team that made my honorable mentions list last year and is now making the main list this year. I said last year that they were a typical vertical spinner who wasn't really entertaining. Well, did they train with Rocky in the off-season? Because I'm going to run out of clips to use because their fights were so fast and memorable. This is not a joke. They two-shotted Gemini, blew up Sawblaze, and yeeted Hijinks out of the box. These were some of the best moments of the whole season. Even their losses were amazing. A total of 11 flips by Hydra, and a shocking loss to Ribot. Not to mention that some of the fights Uppercut won rank in the top 5 fastest KOs of any season. The science on their spinner is nuts, and one literal punch from this team is all you need to be killed. They ranked as the number 4 seed and continued to dominate until Ribot took them out in the top 16. I know Uppercut's going to be ready for Season 6, and I can't wait to see them Falcon Punch their next opponents into oblivion. No need to say finish him, when you could just go straight for the fatality. The number 2 spot goes to the robot that is now the Season 5 champion, Endgame. Even with no affiliation to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they must have Thanos snapped their way to the giant nut. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we finally have a champion who isn't Bite Force. I'm just gonna come out and say that Endgame wasn't my first choice to win the whole thing, let alone be one of the most vicious killers of the season. Endgame did compete in seasons 3 and 4, and they proved themselves as a very vicious killer, but problems arose quite quickly and even spread into this season. I was even doubting them after they started losing drive and smoking up against Bloodsport. On the upside, Endgame's hit list grew fast, and boy was it big, with wins over Hypershock, Perfect Phoenix, Rotator, Shatter, Tantrum, Whiplash, and the team they called out in Season 3.
Who else do you want to take down?
We'd take Tombstone.
Yep, they actually fought Tombstone. As of now, Endgame holds the record for the quickest fight and the fastest time to throw a robot out of the arena. From the moment the fight started to the moment Tombstone was out of the box was 9 seconds. 9 seconds! Were they using the Time Stone or the Power Stone? A big round of applause to Endgame for becoming a new and fresh champion. Go New Zealand! Now before we get to the number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions. P1. I watch a lot of Robot Wars, and one team that I like is a team called Firestorm. Their weapon is a front-hinged flipper, so when I found out that P1 was a front-hinged flipper going into Battlebots, I was thrilled. P1 last season was not the greatest, but they did do quite the job in the qualifiers and the Bounty Hunter tournament. 3 total wins, not bad. It is sad though that they missed out on the top 32. Hashtag justice for P1. Kraken. Kraken's only here because they faced some better opponents this season and actually beat a high-level team. Witch Doctor. They did show that they were harder to knock out as well. Although they're not my favorite team, respect where respect is due. Kraken did a good job. Perfect Phoenix. If I were to tell you that an 11-year-old kid is driving in Battlebots, you'd think I was pulling your leg. But I'm not. This kid has an IQ of 156 and is probably smarter than half the teams at Battlebots. Keyword probably. Perfect Phoenix reminds me of Hazard from the Comedy Central days. Same weapon, same body, same style. Still, 2 wins and 3 losses ain't bad for an 11-year-old rookie. Slammo. After years of making quote-unquote crappy bots, Craig Danby created Slammo to send all of its opponents to Suplex City. Slammo's claws were perfect for flipping and lifting opponents all the way to a 2-3 finish in the qualifiers, tournament, and bounty hunter rounds. Suplex City, here we come! Hijinks. For a horizontal version of Deep 6, Hijinks was pretty good. 2 wins in the qualifiers and a win against Slammo in the bounty hunter rounds. I'd say Hijinks is well set up for the 6th season, if we do ever get one. We've finally reached the number 1 spot. In my eyes, this team came from next to nothing and shocked the world of robot combat forever. That team is... Rusty! Yeah, Rusty. What can't I say about Rusty? It's as if the Battlebots gods made him by hand. Rusty is a Battlebots god among... I'm kidding, there's no way I'm putting Rusty on this list. It's a robot made from junk. To this day, I still don't understand why it has a cult following on social media. No. The real number 1 is... Tantrum. Now buckle up, I got some explaining to do. I would have bet all my money on Tantrum's punching vertical spinner not being effective. But holy Battlebots god, they made it to the semifinals by outdriving some of the best the sport has to offer. They outdrove Bloodsport with a busted weapon. Their spinner was actually effective against Gamma 9. They also beat Fusion without a weapon. They beat Atom 94 with their spinner. And they outdrove Sawblaze. Not many people can outdrive Sawblaze. Their only losses came against the stealthy fighter jet Valkyrie in the MCU knockoff Endgame. In the past 2 seasons that Tantrum competed in, I didn't think they were skilled, but just like Mad Catter, I don't know what they did in the off-season, but it worked. Tantrum said on Witch Doctor's Tale of the Tape that they trained with Duck and Marvin in California during the off-season and practiced their driving with a weaponless Tantrum against a very powerful lifter, Duck. No matter how you slice it, Tantrum left me saying, okay, they're a threat after their entire run to the semifinals. This is why they're my number 1. A robot that surprised me, going from 0 to number 1 status in a single season. So that's gonna do it for Season 5 of Battlebots in this video. This season was full of shocking upsets and unforgettable moments. If Season 6 is as good as this, I think we're in for a real treat. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any objections to my picks, post them in the comments below. Follow me on Instagram at madman2415, subscribe to the channel for more great content, and click the bell to be notified when I upload a new video. That's it for me. Glad you had fun tuning in, but now I gotta tune out. I've been Madman24, you've been you. Thank you so much for watching.